You know?
They didn't tell me that they weren't able to make it.
Okay. All right. It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting of the Community Development Authority for June 17th, 2021 to order. This is a special meeting here. So, okay. So, Abby, roll call.
Barker,
Here.
Barron. Barron is absent. Furlong,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Oakes. Oakes is absent. Olson.
Here.
Weber
Here.
and Brower is present.
Okay. So, the first item is the approval of the minutes from June 3rd, 2021.
And I apologize, you can't approve the minutes because I did not get those into your packet. So those are going to have to come to the next meeting. I apologize for that.
Okay, need a motion. Well, do we need to defer it or we just assume? Well,
Yeah.
let's have a motion to defer it, please. So,
So moved.
okay, need a second.
I'll second it. This is Kieran.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to defer the minutes because they're not available, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. On to the agenda item, the big stuff, which Dan and Ken and the others worked very hard on it. Pop-up summer fun brought to you by the CDA. But I do want to say thank you to Ken and Dan and Kathy and whoever else came, and especially Dee Finnegan for getting
Katie
that
was
our-
there. Katie was
Who?
there.
Oh,
Katie?
Katie, yeah, Katie, and for getting that our flower garden started. So, and today I saw that Dee was watching them. They look, that's a great start. So,
Dee was back there on Sunday finishing up the planting, so she put in a lot of work for us. So kudos to her.
Yeah, agreed.
yes, yes. Let's. I did tell her thank you. I was there today. I saw her watching. So great job. Great job, everyone. So now on to the pop-up fun. So who's going to take it, Abby?
Well, I think that Dan and Kieran have kind of been taking the lead. So maybe we should see if Dan would like to start off.
Okay, Dan, and then Karen.
Yeah, thank you, Abby and Mayor. We've been trying to reach out to different people. What we've heard from different folks almost unanimously is that they want, and I'm speaking about musicians, is they're looking for amplification. So we can't do that until we get it in front of L&O. Until we can get it in front of L&O and have them approve that. So what we're thinking in the beginning is maybe we can have some acoustic bands in the beginning, the first few instances, and then we can look at getting an application for amplified music in the latter half. In reaching out to businesses, overwhelmingly, they've been in favor of this pop-up event. They want to see how it goes. Additionally, I've spoken with the residents of the Middleton Center, and they too are supportive of this idea. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kieran here in a second because he's put together a spreadsheet. I think we've got a couple decision points that we're going to talk about and make sure we're in agreement on. Kieran?
Oh, well, thanks, Dan. First of all, I would like to thank Dan for all of his efforts. This has definitely been 80-20, if not 90-10 in terms of the effort put in. So Dan, thanks very much for reaching out to so many people, business owners, residents, and so on as well. So where the plan is right now is we had looked at doing the five Thursdays in July, which you'll see on the page that Abby has up right now. Now, this is actually a page from a Google sheet that I had uploaded. Basically started with the spreadsheet that Abby had showed us at the last meeting. And so it circulated that to get people's input. Abby, after this meeting, if you're able to circulate a link to that again to everyone on the CDA. So feel free to add in additional. ideas for musicians and so on, but also what we need are volunteers from the CDA. So on the page that Abby is showing right now, that'll be the first tab on the spreadsheet when it gets around. What we think is it would be ideal to have at least 2 people from the CDA and associated city committees there each evening to do the volunteering. And partly I've put down the list there of duties, which if there's anything that I've missed, if anyone has any other ideas of what needs to be done, by all means, please add those into the spreadsheet as well. But in essence, what the CDA volunteer will be doing, volunteers, we may also have volunteers from Arts Committee, and it's by no means exclusive. We'll welcome other volunteers as well. But we want to have at least one person from the CDA there to coordinate with the performer. So just ensuring they know where they're coming, setting up time, being there ready to greet them and so on. And, you know, ensuring they know what paperwork is needed. So essentially what we do is prepare a pro forma invoice that we could provide to the musician to fill in and send back to us, along with the W-9, which would be a requirement as well, so that they could be paid by the city or by the CDA. So there's a bit of that interaction with their performers that is needed. I should stress, we're definitely going for the guerrilla entertainment approach with this, keeping it as light touch as possible. So, you know, we had a smaller group meeting to discuss, do we need to get a stage and so on? And really, we're trying to keep this as simple and straightforward as possible. Think more of your street performers or busker type entertainment that's really there to provide additional ambiance and a focal point in Stonehorse Green, but not to take over the entire space. This is not going to be a concert. This is not going to drown out everyone's conversation and all the rest of it. It's not the symphony on the square where you show up and put down your blanket and shush everyone just to listen to the musician. It's really intended to be additive to the kind of, you know, the neighborhood fun that people are having out on Stonehorse Green. So that's, if you like, the intent. The volunteer, in addition to liaison with the performers, would also be there to pull the street barricade across at 5 p.m. And we had some discussion around this, you know, whether it should be 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and it seems like the
You're breaking up,
compromise that
Karen.
would work for everyone and businesses would be the compromise that would work here for folks, for like the business owners and so on, would be essentially, we want to keep the street passable by vehicles up to 5 p.m., but we would put up signs showing that, hey, you know, as of 5 p.m., the street will be closed and please remove your vehicle if at all possible. Then the barricade would come across at 5 p.m. That's one of the roles the volunteer would do, but it's very straightforward. It's just, you know, pulling across the, you know, the kind of sawhorse style street barricade. The next thing that we want the volunteer to do is to make a few opening remarks, basically just saying, hey, this performer's here. This is an event sponsored by the CDA. This is our summer pop-up fun, or whatever the name may be, right? So we'll come to that in a moment. But basically just a few opening remarks around what's happening. The folks who might be there at that time don't just suddenly wonder, why is this random person starting to strum a guitar? And it's also a chance for us just to highlight what the CDA is doing in the downtown area as well. And then we would want the volunteers to stay there through the 6 to 8 p.m. Time slot for performance. And that's really if there's anything that comes up, any issues, anything that needs to be handled. In terms of cleanup, Abby, remind me, I think we had talked about having the city contracted cleaners come by at 9 p.m. or so, just to take away the bins and all the rest of it. Is that correct?
They have been scheduled now for all 5 Thursdays, and they're going to come sometime between 8 and 9 p.m. each week.
8 and 9. Excellent. Okay, very good. So Dan, Abby, have I missed anything else there, or is that pretty much what we are looking for? Oh, so basically, you'll see there, I've just started, I dropped my name into 2 of the evening slots. I'll hopefully do some more as well. It's pretty easy for me as long as I'm here. It's around the corner. But I would invite other members of the CDA to fill this in as well. And then Abby, is the appropriate way to get this to the Arts Committee through you, I imagine, seeing as you are the city representative on that committee too?
Yes, and they actually met at 5:30 PM tonight, and I showed them this in your packet, in what I included here in your packet. And they want to help, and they also kind of want to be a co-sponsor, at least of the art events. Is now a good time to share their thoughts, or do you want me to wait?
Well, how about we solicit thoughts from the CDA folks here at first, and then definitely want to hear the Arts Committee feedback as well, please. So thoughts from the CDA first.
Yeah, go ahead, folks.
My question is, are these the only Thursdays we're going to do? My thought was we were going to do them through September 9th or whatever the date is. So have we decided not to do it past July?
Kathy, I'd like to answer that if I could, Dan Barker. A lot of the feedback I got was from the businesses. Residents, overwhelmingly, let's do it. The businesses were, I'm okay with it, but I want to try it. I don't want to commit to it. So I thought, you know, if we can get a nice win here, we show that it works, it doesn't impact these businesses. I actually had a resident reach out to me that's in marketing and said, well, what's your key performance indicators and those type of metrics? And I said, well, we're not that advanced yet. This is very subjective. We're just trying to see if this is going to work. So I hear what you're saying, but we're just trying to see.
No, my question, are we confusing the performances with the street closures? I mean, if it doesn't work to close the streets, can't we still have the performers with the streets open?
Most definitely we can, but we wanted to just start small in July.
So we're not going to book anybody past the end of July. Okay.
We certainly can. We certainly can.
Yeah, I mean, that's up for discussion, I guess.
Okay, because I'm you know, I reached out to people because I was thinking that this was going to be for the summer is what was my understanding. So okay, that's the last that we talked at the last CDA meeting, and we had it through the summer. So
yeah, that's correct. That is correct, Kathy. That's the last from the meeting 2 weeks ago. But Dan earlier this week. And it was really just trying, this is in reflecting the feedback that Dan had got, and a case of, well, let's just try it, but it's up for discussion. Okay.
Okay.
So to kind of add to that, and Kieran, thank you, and Kathy, I'm welcome to take more questions, but to kind of add to that, I think 2 items for discussion are we okay with, is the group okay with asking for amplified music in the second half? And secondly, is the group okay with authorizing the payment for these performers?
Well, I think they both are good ideas. So first we should maybe at least see how first a couple of these performances go. If you have a lot of people, I think then we should go for the amplified music. But even otherwise, I think unless we try it, we're not going to find out. So I think we should.
Mayor, if I may, though, the only challenge with that, though, is we need to get in front of the LNO to apply for that permit.
The LNO is July 13th, so we could do it that night. So
Kathy, even though it's a city function, we still need the LNO permission?
We are exempt from, I know for the street closure, we're exempt because I already got that approved by the 2 relevant departments and our city administrator. I don't know about the amplified sound though. I don't know if we need if we're exempt from the LNO requirement or if we have to go through the full process.
Okay, so yeah, Mike, what do you think?
I don't think there's an exemption on the amplified sound, but I'm not certain of that. Kathy, do you recall, for city events, have you had amplified sound?
I'm trying to
permits?
think if we've ever had, well, let's have an example of a city event that has amplified sound.
Well, how about the lighting function at the city hall?
It's been a while since we had National Night Out, but I don't even know that we have had amplified sound there. I'll look at the ordinance while you guys are talking and see if I can find
Okay.
that.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mike.
Carrie has a question too here. Carrie, you want to come in? Kari.
Okay, so Kari, you have a raised hand, so go ahead, Kari.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just, first of all, could somebody please refresh my memory? Sorry, I don't remember. What is the amount of the payment to the musicians?
I think we had a budget of $300
Okay, thank you.
for 2 hours of service. And Abby put and I'll stop here, but Abby put a disclaimer that some groups might go a little bit over, some might go a
Yeah.
little under. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I just
Right.
couldn't remember the ballpark. And then in light of that, I would support Kathy's notion that we book into August with or without street closures. I can't really see a downside. And I would also point out that there's been mildly amplified sound in Stone Horse Green and also across the street from me. I don't know if St. Luke's Church has been getting permits from L&O, but there's a lot of sort of mild sound amplification that's been happening without a permit. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I don't think people have found what's been going on, you know, with the Village Green or whoever sort of sets up a little speaker. Nobody's found that particularly objectionable, and you can still have conversation, and it seems fine.
Right, Carrie, that was discussed as well, and we recognize that. We're just trying to make sure we do this all in the above board correct way.
Oh, I'm not arguing with that. I'm just putting it forward as a point sort of in support of Kathy's notion that having people down there for, as you said, Karen, ambiance and sort of mood setting, even with some amplification, I don't think will be obtrusive to people. I think it's more the street closures, Dan, if I'm understanding correctly, that people have a little trepidation about the merchants.
Right.
Thank you, Kari. Anyone else?
I'm looking at the ordinance and
Katie? Yes, so go ahead, Mike.
I'm looking at the ordinance and I don't see a specific exemption for city-sponsored events. There is an exemption for announcements by nonprofit organizations in the school district specifically for athletic or similar events held on school or public property, but you're talking about music over a period of time, and I don't see an exemption for that for city-sponsored events.
Okay, thank you. So Katie Nelson and then Dan Barker.
Two things, don't know how feasible they are. One is I know that the Madison Blues Association is hoping to contact us and hoping to have like a blues night where they would pitch in part of the money to pay the artists. It would get their performers some performance time, and it would easily fill up a schedule for us. Second
great.
thought is even wilder. A friend of mine was in Chicago last weekend and down near Navy Pier, and I'm not saying, okay, so don't say anything until I'm done. They have fireworks every Wednesday and Saturday, and that's not what I'm talking about doing. What I'm talking about doing is they charge everyone who lives on the water extra taxes to the tune of, I think, like $5 a month, because they have a front row seat to all of this. And I don't know if like we could have help paying for it by doing something like that. Now, down in Chicago, if you can live on the water, an extra $5 a month is nothing. And I have no idea if that's the case for people who live in the Middleton Center, but it's just an idea I thought that I would tell you guys just as a thing to kick around in your head.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Katie.
Just to respond to that one, Mayor.
Sure, go ahead.
I think that would be something great to consider if we get this established and it becomes an ongoing thing every summer, for sure. And it becomes a draw. Right now, I think we're in that phase where we're trying to win people over. So
I
Dan,
understand. I just wanted to offer it up as an idea before I forgot it.
Thank you. No, and definitely welcome the idea and something to consider if this becomes, an embedded part of the Middleton summer. Dan had a 90% success rate, I think, when talking to residents down in the T-Wall apartments on this. But Dan, you have your hand up anyway, so why don't you weigh in on this one as well?
Dan Barker and Kathy also. Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And that was the exact point. A couple things. Katie, I forwarded on, I can't remember his name exactly, but somebody reached out to Abby and me about the Blues Fest. So that's definitely percolating out there for sure. And just the one point, I wanted to report back to this group because we had heard different things over the months, but just to circle back on what Kieran said, exactly just that. I went around to, I think it was 12 different businesses right around Stonehorse Green. And I said, how do you feel about us closing down the road here on Thursdays in July? And much like Kieran said, every single one of them, to tell you, 12 out of 12 said, I'm in support of it. I'd like to see what happens. Let's try it out. And jumping back to Kathy, we want to try to work with folks, and we thought maybe this is a good trial. Kieran hit it again. We want to make this low budget. We want to show that we can do this on a low budget and it can be successful. So thank you and appreciate the time.
Thank you, Dan. Kathy?
Mike, would this be part of, they floated the idea before about a business improvement district. Would this be something on that order, or would you think there would be any appetite for that at all after COVID's been behind us for a bit?
Well, I think we have to keep in mind that a business improvement district is a charge against the businesses, and many of the businesses have been closed for quite some time.
True, yes.
You could establish it, and once we have a healthier downtown post-pandemic, that might be a means by which to fund this and other improvements in the downtown. One of the concerns, of course, is how much some of the businesses run on a margin as it
Right.
is. We aren't talking about big chains here. And landlords don't pay the bill, they pass it on to those who are tenants.
Okay. Have you ever been in a city that had a business improvement district, a successful one, or?
When I was in Bloomington, we ruled it out for the very reasons I just cited. And
Okay,
however, the Downtown Business Association sponsored events, raised revenue from that. And then the revenue went towards programs. And that works, in my opinion, much better than a business improvement district, because those who can afford to give will do
Right.
so. And sometimes you have a sugar mama or daddy who can pay a little bit more than the rest. And it's more optional and based on who can afford to, and maybe who has the greatest interest in
right.
promoting an event, as opposed to everybody getting hit.
Okay,
Are you done, Kathy?
yes, I am.
Okay, thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Mike. Next one is Kieran, and then
Yeah, Tom, switching my
Barker.
video again.
Okay,
Just
go ahead,
to
Dan.
on that. So look, we've got a few goals here. One is obviously to have something that, gets us out, gets the neighborhood together, has some fun outdoors. We're still not totally clear of the pandemic yet, but we're definitely rounding the corner. There's also the goal to support the businesses, and there's a longer term goal just to make downtown Madison or downtown Middleton a really vibrant collecting area where people choose to go and spend time. We're already on the way there, right? We've got a number, it's a very strollable neighborhood with a number of the kind of stores that you stop in. My two daughters, through the whole pandemic, their favorite thing was to walk downtown and look in the window at Regal Find and Tradition, and now they're overjoyed they can actually go in and potter around and look at things. So we have the makings of something that could be very successful, but we are conscious that the businesses are coming off, first of all, road closures, if I recall, from 2 years ago, that caused some hardship for some of the businesses. Now the pandemic for 1.5 years. I think we really want to be as supportive as possible to our downtown businesses, try and get things up and running. And if this is just one part of the revive, kind of making a vibrant downtown in Middleton. If all of that becomes successful, I think there's absolutely scope, Kathy, to have those kind of conversations around how do we continue to improve the downtown area. And I think the intent here with a lot of the stuff we're talking about is to try it, to do things by increment, see how it works. And that's a way to make sure that we can bring everyone along with us as well, and allow for everyone to kind of see how things are progressing, including schedule for the summer, Kathy. So I'm not sure if we wrapped that one up yet, but
No,
think we definitely,
I don't feel we have, because
right.
I can understand doing road closures through July. I don't see any of the business would have any downside if we had bans throughout the summer, so people get used to Thursday nights downtown. If
Okay,
it
so-
doesn't work to close the streets, then
Right.
we've tried it through July, and then it's open
Okay.
after that. That's what I'm thinking, to get people used to the idea of having something downtown, and we can book this out.
So how about we do this? We propose to book performers all the way through, I'm going to say to the 2nd of, well, I guess we'll do the whole way, all the way through to the 9th of September, with the budget as Abby had put forward for that, which I think was around $4,000. Abby, will that cover it, or do we need to make that a little bit higher to get all the way into September?
Well, it depends. When I met with you and Dan on the picnic table, Dan said that you are gonna be having a musician and an artist. And so are you paying both?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a challenge. Dan, in terms of because then we're looking at how many nights are there? 11.
Yeah,
Abby,
and we haven't set a schedule yet, and slotted performers.
I think this is a start. We need to work out various details. And I think everybody agrees that this is a good start to try these 5, but we want it to be all summer long, even hopefully even goes further into the fall. So Kathy, you have your hand up?
Oh, it was up from before, but I was also going to say, if we do the street closures by the parking stalls, usually when they close the street, don't they say no parking from like 5 to 9 or something? So even if people are parked there, they know they have to get out by 5.
Yep. Sean Stelsky gave me some parameters for a traffic control plan, and we will need to actually put signs up 48 hours in advance that says this street is going to be closed at this time on this day, to give people warning before they park their car and then they're stuck in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to do that, and then we'll have to have a barricade that our community development officer is going to drop off, and we'll have to figure out where to store it, but it's going to have, be the big orange barricade on the 2 stands, and it will say road closed. So we'll give people plenty of notice so that they don't
Right. And it'd be nice if we could just have that say no parking on Thursdays, in July from this time to this time, but I don't know how durable they are either. So anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the best part is that you're only closing from one side. If there's somebody there, they can still get out, but we wouldn't want them to be there, so.
Of course,
Okay.
Mayor, I'm sorry, one last point, Dan Barker. I just want to get approval from the fellow commissioners that we can move forward. We can and I'm making a motion, I suppose, that we can request amplification, and B, we can spend the money we've allocated, and C, we can extend this through the end of the summer.
Okay, need a second.
We need a dollar number on that though, Dan.
I think the dollar is 4,000, maybe, or what is that?
Right. So look, just I'll weigh in here, Dan, on your motion. So Kathy is hoping we'll go all the way through the summer. One of the limitations may be funding. So, and it all depends on what the performers cost. We're setting a budget for 300. Some might be less, some might be more. Katie's point on the blues performers, where that may not cost us as much, for example. So I think what we want to propose is we set a budget request or a budget allocation at $5,000. Plan on performing all the way through to 2nd of September, but we revisit the budget and how we're doing on the monies allocated at the end of July. That way we'll also know how is it going. And if needed, we'll be able to, budget for additional performances, or we just end it on the 19th or 26th of August if we're out of money. Okay, so does that make sense, Kathy? I'm just trying to make sure we.
How are we going to determine the performers is what I got a question on that. Are we going to base it on how much their availability and their costs, or the types of music, and are we going to do that as a committee? Are we going to look at the different performers, or how do you propose to do that?
I propose that by committee will be too difficult. This is going to be a pretty narrow needle to thread in terms of finding people who are available, who are willing to do it the style we're suggesting and at the price we're suggesting. So that sounds to me like potentially something for a subcommittee as opposed to the whole committee to plan on.
Well, the thing is, when I'm sending out emails asking for people if they're interested in performing and stuff, and then I think if that's not going to be a part of the committee's decision, then maybe somebody else needs to be. If I'm putting my name on an email saying we may have slots for you and we're looking at certain days and stuff, I would like to make sure that this is being followed up on. And I thought I didn't know how this was going to be determined, I guess, how the person was selected.
So how about if it's Kathy, you, Karen, and Dan? So that won't be a quorum. And so 3 of you can, we can, how much could we have 4 if somebody else wants to join?
I've added to this list today also, again.
Mm-hmm.
And the other performers too.
So, look, we're trying to strike the balance here of making sure we can get things done on short order. It's not that we don't want to have input from everyone. That was the purpose of the spreadsheet, was to try and get input from as many people. And
right.
Abby will share the link again to get input from people. But I do think we probably want to have a smaller number or even a point person just to go after this. What we had talked about when I met with Dan and Abby earlier this week, Kathy, was essentially having, Dan would say, okay, here's a tentative schedule, and then allocate the reach outs. Kieran, can you call this person and see if they're available? So that's one way that we could do it. And, we'd welcome your help and assistance.
That would be a very quick, efficient way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense to people? Does anyone have any objection? Again, I'm not trying to put people out here. I'm trying to make sure we just get this done. Because
I think that people who have reached out to different people they'd like to see perform, I think would like to have some input. Maybe I'm being a little, I'll stop there.
No. Look, we want your input and assistance. So I think.
Agreed.
Okay, if I nominate you as the point person that this stuff flows to, and then you can allocate it back out to us when you need help reaching it.
No. I don't, I'm just,
I hear what you're saying, Kathy, and we're there. Kieran and my struggle is there's a lot of stuff going on, and to make it a success, we want to try to hold it to July. But I hear what you're saying. You've talked to people. You don't want to be in an awkward position. I think what Kieran and I are saying, we just need some help.
Abby's been hearing from people. Katie's been hearing from people. There's a lot of interest in this. I don't think the problem is going to be getting people to perform. I'm happy to volunteer any of the nights that I need to be there. I'm happy to do that. I don't think and if we have the funding, I really feel though that we need to get a nice blend of people and selecting.
I agree.
People have different tastes and
Okay.
I agree 100%. Go ahead.
So
Karen.
the question for me, Kathy, was the funding, right? Because we don't have a budget for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the 11 Thursdays all the way through to 9th of September. And if we are allocating $600 per night with 2 performers, which I think is probably over what we'll actually be doing.
We would never have that much, would we?
No, I
Well,
thought we were doing
we're having-
300 per event, right?
Yeah, you'd have a person playing a guitar. You might have someone doing an art, something art with kids or a performance of something.
Well, Abby, what, did you want to talk about what the art committee discussed tonight then, or?
Yes, so the Arts Committee talked about two separate ways that well, actually three, that they want to partner. So one is they're willing to volunteer. And I told them that we have a spreadsheet, and if they want to sign up for some slots, they can do that. Two is arts and crafts tent for kids. And they have committed to do this during the month of July. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do it for all the nights, but they can promise that they're willing to do it in July. They will come and set up a tent. They will provide materials and have an organized arts and crafts project for kids. So they want to have like a little tiny call out on any promotional that says, and an arts and crafts kids table sponsored by the Arts Committee. And then the third way is that if you wanted to have a demonstration artist, one of the Arts Committee members is willing to organize those for every night in the month of July. So like, for example, there would be a chalk artist one night, other types of artists doing demos. And she says that she's got enough friends to cover every July. She's a working artist herself, so she is pretty well connected. And it sounded like she wasn't going to be asking for money, but I have a feeling that the Arts Committee is going to want to pay any artist that is doing work on their behalf. They're not going to want them to go uncompensated. So that's kind of TBD.
So that money will come from the Arts Committee then, right?
Well, the Arts Committee allocated $500 for the materials for the table and the
Okay.
the arts and crafts tent. I don't know about the working artists yet. That's a little bit more fuzzy. Did you get a sense of that in the meeting tonight, Kathy?
I just heard it was the $500, and I don't know if, I don't know. Katie, I don't know, did you?
I didn't get a sense of whether it was for the artists either.
Okay, so I got two hands, Karen and then Dan. My thinking here is that we are not going to solve everything tonight. I think what we need to do is to get this started, and things will come along, and we're going to sort it out, and that's how it would be. But I think we have to make a start, and so we have okay, we fund it up to 5,000. If we run out, we come back to the CDA and see what's needed and how we go about it. I think this is a first year. This is a trial. And I think we are going to be learning a lot as we go along. If we need to have a special meeting of the CDA, we will. But otherwise, the next meeting is coming up in about a little over 2 weeks, right, Abby? So, okay, so Karen and then Dan.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense, Mayor. And I just want to make sure that if there's any other voices around the table here who want to weigh in, please do so. But, and Kathy, hopefully, we've addressed that. So what I'm going to tease out of all of the various back and forth here is we will plan on having a performer that is, organized and paid for by the CIA from the 1st of July through to
CIA, you said.
Yeah, CDA.
Right. So
Well,
Karen, do you have connections we're not aware of?
Yeah.
how I
Don't
got
ask
here.
him any questions.
It's been a long day. My first meeting was.
I thought you were from Ireland.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we got to move here. We only got 21 minutes.
yes, let's move forward. Yes, CDA.
So we want to do something all the way through. I'm going to propose the 2nd of September, which I think is the Labor Day weekend. We may tack on the 9th, but let's just do the 10th, nice round number.
Okay.
Let's propose that we're going to do something organized and paid for by the CDA on all of those nights through to the 2nd of September. Up to the 29th of July, we'll be doing things in conjunction with the Arts Committee as well. And we will revisit that in our July meeting just to see how things are going. and do we want to continue? Can the Arts Committee continue to support it as well? I don't want to obligate them to go beyond what they committed to on their meeting today. I think we propose an allocation of $5,000 to get us as far as we can. If it looks like, we just haven't been able to stay within that because that's only going to get us as far as say the 19th of August, we revisit that in one of our meetings over the summer and see if we've got additional space to provide the funding. And we need to get creative at that point to fill out the last 2 Thursdays or something. We're proposing street closures all the way to the 29th of July. We'll see how that goes. We'll stay in contact with the business owners and people attending and so on, gauge how that's going. And we can also decide if we want to continue with the street closures into August and the Labor Day weekend. And then on the amplified sound, we won't have a permit in place for the 1st and the 8th, but we will go to the LNO on the 13th and at least have the possibility of having amplified sound for all of the subsequent evenings. That's a lot, but I think that covers what you were talking about, Kathy, hopefully.
Right, and we have a couple bands or couple entertainers that are non-amplified that we could choose from for the 1st and the 8th, correct?
Right. So I think the one thing maybe we haven't finalized is how we're going to organize that and have the input. The mayor had proposed a subgroup of Dan, Kathy, and myself to talk about that. If anyone else wants to join in or provide input, please do so. Hopefully we're able to use this spreadsheet in a way that we are still abiding by our requirements for public meeting. But just to get input in here would be useful. And of course, we will bring the spreadsheet up at our subsequent public meeting as well. So there's nothing that's hidden in the shadows or anything. Yeah. Does that make sense to everyone?
I think that looks great. And Abby, 3 people certainly won't be violating the quorum rules. I think in this case, even 4 would be okay. Or I don't know how many members we have on CDA. Is it 9?
It is 8.
8. So we can't, so 3 is all we can do. So, okay. So I think the others can provide their input to these 3 people. I think they're all approachable and they will listen. So Karen, you have hand up?
Oh, sorry. I'm proposing the motion for everything I've just said.
Okay.
A lot of stuff.
Okay.
Abby, do you have enough detail on that to track it as a motion, or do you want me to go over it again?
Well, Dan already, are you modifying Dan's motion now? Or
I'm fleshing out Dan's motion, yes.
Okay. Dan, is that okay with you? And
I second that motion.
Okay, all right, excellent. Okay, any further discussion on the motion as you all heard? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Wow, we are going to be doing things and I think that's great.
Kieran, thanks
Okay.
for putting together that spreadsheet. That works really well to keep it all up to date. And it really worked out well. Thank you.
But I want to stress again, Dan is the person who's been doing the legwork here.
Okay.
The spreadsheet.
Well, thank you to all of you. I think we're going to look back at this one. This is going to be a milestone here. So how things got started. So all of you are the pioneers here. Okay, we are on to item number 2, marketing for downtown marketing assistance for the Mustard Museum, $6,100. So, and then CDA events, sponsorship for 2000, so National Mustard Day. So we talked about it last time. So who wants to take the leadership here?
So the CDA provided $3,000 in marketing assistance of the $8,100 that had been requested by the Mustard Museum. And at the last meeting, you identified that as being the floor, that you might consider providing additional funding support. And you asked me to include it on this agenda.
Okay. All right. So let's hear from the commissioners. Is anybody willing and interested to provide more assistance to the mustard festival. Kathy, you want to start? I don't see any raised hands.
Hang on a second. I'm trying to find this year. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, how much did you say? Did we give 2,000 or 3,000?
We go at 3,000.
3,000. And that was from the marketing account, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
This is Dan Barker. I think Karen asked for, no, never mind. That was for the tokens. I'm sorry.
Anyone else? Barry, you want to make a pitch?
Well, let's see, I'm unmuted. I can tell you that we have just in the last week, 10 days, have gotten a lot of inquiries, both by phone and a lot of emails. Are you still having Mustard Day? And a lot of these people are from not just in the neighborhood, but out of town. Quite a few people from Chicago. We've been in touch with Nick DiGilio because we've always been given time a lot. Last year and the last several years, it's been like an hour of time on WGN radio, which is kind of crazy. So we're also reaching out to mustard companies around the world for help as well. What we've done last year or 2 years ago, because last year really is, it's not a good comparable, but 2 years ago when we got $6,375 back, we had submitted receipts and whatever for $13,800. Although our accountant has just said, no, you actually spent more than $15,600. Right now, what we've done, because we know we've got to be lean this year, we now, it looks like it's going to be about $10,000 that will cost for Mustard Day for everything, for rentals, for the entertainment. We've scaled down a lot. I mean, the $3,000 is certainly a big help. We're hoping that, in as much as, we're not expecting the same that we got 2 years ago, which was $6,375. We're just hoping that, and I know there are other things involved, but we do bring a lot of people to town. We do advertise it. We get a lot of good press about it. So we hope that the committee can bump it up, and I leave it to you to what amount that is appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Ken?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm conscious I've already done a lot of speaking.
Hey, Kieran, you know what? Maybe can you just turn off the video?
And I want background, but I already yep, just have Chris. Thanks. Hopefully this is
there we
better.
go. Yep.
Can you
Thanks.
guys hear me okay now? All right.
Yeah.
All right. My TDS man, we're gonna have to talk to them. Okay, so as I said, I'm trying to retreat into the background a bit because I've done a lot of speaking already this meeting, but I don't want Barry or Patty to go away thinking that this is not something the CDA supports or whatever else. We do have the $3,000 in. It sounds like you've done your pairing and your redlining on line items, Barry, to get it down to 10,000 for the overall cost. So appreciate that. One question for you. Have you actually had any luck attracting any additional sponsorship funding or other supporters yet at this point?
Right. Well, we've got inquiries out really all over the world. And by the way, you were mentioning the CIA. I think we're actually going to have a mustard maker who was at the CIA. the Culinary Institute of America.
Very good.
So, but not that. I did get one a good one. One of the things in terms of sponsorship that we're not going to have this year is Culver's, in the sense that they turned over, they had mustard custard. They're not going to be able to provide it this year because they don't have the staff and the equipment to provide for that. So that's going to be, that's a big hit for us in terms of sponsorship. We did get Boardman Clark is committed to the same. We've got mustard companies that are thinking about it, but many of these smaller mustard companies are hurting because they were unable to get glass. There's been a glass shortage, so some of these companies have just really taken it on the chin because of that. They can't meet their demands. So we're still looking at what we have done. I think I don't know if you can see that. Okay, no, probably not because of, okay, there you go. This is the coupon book that we've committed to do. And we did speak with Alpha Graphics and they've agreed to sponsor that again at no charge. So we will, I just met with them today. And so we're going to be approaching all the the downtown businesses and at no charge to them to give them the opportunity to put an ad or to do a coupon, whatever. But we're not asking them for money because we know that they're hurting as well. It's just not realistic to ask the area businesses for money. We just want to bring people downtown for them. We just want we want this to be a success for everybody. So yeah, we've really cut so much. We actually have one of the big costs is equipment rental, and we have our bid, or it's a quote from Event Essentials that we have to make a down payment on tomorrow. So, and it is substantially less than it was. I think it was 6,600, a little bit more than that. And I think we were able to get it down to about 4,300 this year. So we're cutting out some things. So it's going to be leaner, but it's still going to be fun. And we're still going to have the Usinger hot dogs. In fact, John Gabe from Usinger will actually be there because normally this is the state fair for them, but they're not doing the state fair. So we're going to have Usinger's hot dogs and bratwurst. And people have asked about that. Unfortunately, we're not going to have mustard custard, but we'll come up with something that's fun.
Okay, thank you for the answer. So, look, it sounds like we talked at the last meeting, we discussed that the CDA did not want to be funding more than half of an event because, it kind of by proxy then becomes a CDA event. So it sounds like, just to be clear, the way I'm looking at this is we set a $3,000 floor the last time. $5,000 would be the upper limit. And there's a request out to the committee here is, do we want to increase that above 3,000? Can we? Is there room in the budget? Barry, we're here for the last 45 minutes as we're talking about other things that we're trying to do on a pretty shoestring budget. Yeah. So that's the question, I guess, that we want to try and resolve here. If we can bring that 3,000 floor up somewhat to show any additional support for the mustard day. Dan.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kathy and then Dan Barker. Kathy Olson.
Well, I was going to say pretty much what Karen was saying. When Barry, you said now you're looking more in the $10,000 range, and what our agenda item is. Pardon me?
Yeah, that would be our total cost. Now we know.
Yeah. And what's on our agenda here is like 8,100, should be like over 80% of it. And that's more than what we could do. We do want to stay. So I just wanted to, and that was pretty much what Kieran was pointing out.
Next one is Kathy, you are done?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Dan Barker.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of businesses about a lot of things. And one of the things I asked was, of the businesses around the Mustard Museum, how does the Mustard Day impact your business? for a large majority of them, they don't open, or they're more of an adult-oriented business. So the answer was no impact, no advantage. So I just wanted to throw that out for the perspective. Thank you.
So Dan, so you're done. So the last time we set the range of between 3 to 5,000 and we approved 3,000. So is there Mike, is there any other place where we could find money for this event? Mike Davis?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
This is
So we-
Kathy. I would, this is now broken out. So we got the $3,000 for marketing assistance. I would propose an additional 1,000 from the event sponsorship for the mustard days. I'd make a motion for $1,000 for the event.
Okay.
From
need
the
a
event.
second.
Yep, I would second that. I think that's reasonable. Keeps us added
Motion by
on the
Kathy
event.
and second by Kari. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's have further discussion now. Please raise your hands. So Dan, go ahead. Dan Barker?
Sorry, I didn't get my hand lowered. I have nothing to
okay.
add.
Okay. Okay, anyone else who want to speak, including Mike on this one? Okay, so the motion is to allocate another 1,000 to the muster days.
From event sponsorships. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, for the sponsor. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Just one, sorry.
Aye. Oh,
Okay. Yeah, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say one thing. In terms of where we're trying to go with CDA funding for events, Dan's comments, I want to recognize those as well. We are trying to be spread it around a bit more. Okay, so I think that's something that Barry and Patty, we just want to make you aware of as well, that we are trying to be supportive of many of the downtown businesses and activities and so on as well. But I'm trying to set expectations for next year. Hopefully I'm still serving on this committee next year. Hopefully we're having this conversation again, but just want to flag for Barry and Patty that I think having the CDA carry a significant portion of this is something that, we're going to have to consider in a different light. I'll leave it at that.
yes.
Okay, so that's my comment made. We'll go back to the voting.
Okay, thank you. And well, if there are no further comments, all those in favor of the motion made by Kathy for $1,000, say aye.
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 Anyone
Aye.
opposed?
Nay, Barker.
Okay, so the motion, one opposed, so the motion passes. And Mike, you're going to find out if there's the other way you could help Barry program, right? So, okay, anything else which we need?
I'll
to
look
do?
into it, but it sounds like Barry needs to make decisions very
Okay.
soon.
Okay,
Barry and Patty, that is. So I don't know that we'd be able to come up with a timely option other than the CDA.
okay. Kari, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to put in my usual caveat that CDA would want recognition for the donation on printed materials and social media, and also a report after the event of how the money was spent, like we do for everybody.
Okay, thank you, Kari. Anyone else has any other questions or comments or any suggestions for Barry and Patty?
Can I just quick say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And I don't know if it's understood. We spend a lot more than what Barry submits. The business spends a lot of money, and the nonprofit does spend a lot more than the $10,000. So I just wanted to add that. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Patty.
Patty. We appreciate that. There's a lot of labor and other things that aren't on that bill. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
my accountant is very angry that I don't include everything. He's not happy with me.
Okay, any other further questions or comments? Anyone? Okay, so need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. This is Kieran.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, otherwise we stay here. Okay. All those
Chris,
in-
Chris has been very quiet. Maybe he'd like to.
Yes, a second, proof, yes,
Okay.
thanks.
Uh,
It's been a long day.
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
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 Okay, motion
Thank
is
you all
approved.
very much. Thank you.
Well, have a great evening. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Aye,
Bye.
everybody.